We welcome the night.
Horror Night Oasis, a radio show where we discuss the latest movies and news from the world of horror. Joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host, Ian. Ian, are you there?
I hope so.
Man, it has been a while. How have you been? I know it's been a little difficult. I know that much, but
oh yeah.
How's all that stuff going out?
Well, school's finally over with, and my son is finally starting to sleep throughout the night, so I don't have to feed him every hour and a half to 2 hours like I did in the beginning. So
yeah,
it's getting
that's
easier.
Good to hear, but yeah, that's what we want to hear, and because you got to take care of that thing, because we got that and we got everything else going on in the world today. So what else is new? But we're here to put all that aside because we got ourselves a brand new show. We're back for I don't know how long. We say we're back and then we leave, but things happen. It's not our fault. But we're here, and I'm happy to start our Monsters Day special. I don't know if we'll do another Monsters Day or not. We'll see. We're just doing these as they come. But our Monsters Day, usually we marathon this stuff, but I don't know. After tonight's episode, I think I'm done. Nah, I'm kidding. I usually say that. I'm kidding. But we have, this one is, I say this for a lot of things, but this one very, very much is something that's kind of interesting once you learn more about it. And our film tonight for our inaugural Monsters Day special is called Horror High, not to be confused with the 70s film with the killer hamster, with the giant monster. High school one there. But this one is from, again, I don't know if it's 2020 or 2021. It has two different years on it, but I'm going for 2020. And it is also called Tardy Terror. If you want to find this film, that's the one you're going to have to look up for because on it's going to be released under Horror High from ITN. But it is a film that has an interesting background because this is, I would believe, the first widely distributed horror film or movie in general that was done by a high school class.
Yeah.
So that right there is, you have to look at the film differently. And I'm trying to keep an open mind, with whenever we do these reviews, we always keep an open mind. We see the pros and we see the cons. And that's something you have to look at, too. With the low-budget indie stuff, backyard, in quotations, backyard filmmaking that we review every now and then, this one is a step up from that in quality because the camera is decent. But you also have to remember that we're dealing with high school kids, and I've seen better acting from sometimes an 8-year-old kid who had a dream to make a zombie film. Well, I digress. But yeah, so you definitely have to keep that in mind. You know, think like Pathogen, you know, the Emily Haggis film that she made when she was like 12, 13, that zombie film, because she made that, again, middle school, high school, but she made a zombie film. You know, Zombie Girl, the movie is all about her. And nonetheless, you have to take that, you know, the glass half empty kind of thing, like, okay, I know what you're getting into. So I'm trying to set all this up before we get into the film. So those listening that kind of know those films, because Ian, I know you haven't seen Pathogen, but being a zombie person, I myself have, and it's getting a Blu-ray release from Vinegar Syndrome, so people are going to be able to see it better now because it's going to be widely distributed and released. But, and honestly, it's not that good of a movie, but it's a first step type film because you went on to do other things. But nonetheless, we have Horror High, and the premise to this sounded, again, with all these films, it sounded good. Because people are, you know, you can't be late to your class because it takes place in a high school, or this monster will come and attack you or take you or something. So that premise sounded pretty damn cool, because I don't think there's been something like that before, where, you know, sort of in a way, but not really. You know, I was thinking of As the Gods Will, the Takashi Miike film, but that's not exactly the same premise, even though it's just, you know, Japanese high school kids in playing children's games. This one's the actual creature, and there's an interesting premise behind it, where the backstory. Well, we have a new kid. He moved to town, and it's his first day in this school, and it's a freaking elaborate high school. I'll tell you that much. That building was crazy for a high school, even if that was. I don't know if it was or wasn't, but that's the one thing. Like, that looks like freaking some kind of marketing building, but nonetheless, they're in this high school, and it's his first day. He's meeting a few people. He's getting picked on by the jock and his cheerleader girlfriend. All the coming of age tribulations that, you know, woes of a teenager, and that you would see in those type of films. And so everything's fine, and then, like, the new kids, you know, he's a new kid. All the people that he comes across that soon becomes his group of friends, like, don't be tardy, just get to class on time. And, like, okay, whatever. And there's, you know, the buzzer goes off, and everyone starts running, and they're like, get to class, and the doors are shutting because they're automatic doors, and he's like, what's going on? And then, like, the teachers are acting weird, and then basically what it comes to, the backstory of everything, is that there's a principal, I don't know how many years prior, I guess, I don't know, went crazy because he kept saying, all right, kids, get to class, you're going to be tardy, get to class, and they're all on their phones, not paying attention. And so in retaliation for that, he makes this big machine underneath his office, which is, again, spoiler, it's underneath his office, the layer of where everything's at. And he builds, like, all the doors and all the machines and shutters and all that stuff, to chains, all that stuff to keep the kids locked in. You know, the alarms and everything that goes off with this weird, again, machine that turns on, and then a big surge happens, and he disappears, and I'm assuming he turns into the creature, but it's never implied, but I'm just assuming that multiverse or something going down, he just, like, converged or something, switched places. I don't know. Nonetheless, it doesn't really matter. It's just convenience for most of this film. Like, oh, he's gone, creature. So you kind of have to take some things with a grain of salt with the film, especially later on. It doesn't make sense. But nonetheless, he builds the machine. If you're tardy or the door's shut, you have to fend for yourself, and the goblin-esque creature comes and takes you away or does something with you, which we'll get into that later. And it also done something to like in this town, and only in this town, where it affects only the adults, where like they're like brainwashed, and like it doesn't really matter. It's just like, oh, how come like all the kids disappear? Oh, they're brainwashed by TV. Like, okay. But again, it's a minute plot point that, again, we're dealing with a high school class here, so a lot of things are all over the place. So you have to really keep that in mind and kind of grin and bear it for most of the film, because it really does kind of like, okay, you're starting to push it there, and it's just like not really where it should be because you're dealing with a high school class. You know, it's like that one film we reviewed, like, you know, that 8-Ball. You're like, it's an 8-year-old who made the damn thing. It's like, ugh. But at least this is done well, you know, more so than 8-Ball. But nonetheless, you know, he's trying his best to, like, figure this out, and he has a crush on the girl, and they start having a relationship. They're trying to figure out a way to stop the machine, like, because there was a power surge, the power went out, and the teachers came back, and, you know, the normal, and they were, like, saying, help me. And, like, okay, maybe we can make up this plan, and you never get a plan. Things happen. And so it's just them, this weird coming-of-age story about growing up in high school and bullies and parents not listening to you and life choices, and also while getting attacked, you know, bullies, jocks, you know, the high, you know, lows of high school, and there's a gremlin-like monster after you. So, yeah, the premise is, like I said, I like the idea of the premise. And I want to say the first act of this film, I was really digging it, because I was like, all right, because it's something different, you know, because it's like, it's a high school class. It has some good production values. The acting was fine, you know. We've seen worse. And so I was like, I was okay with that. And like, I was like seeing where it was going, and then it just slowly went nowhere. And like, the main issue I had with this film was the fact of the pacing and the continuity. Continuity I can live with. It was the pacing, because it was excruciatingly slow. And this film was an hour and 43 minutes. And this is one of those where it's just like, all right, let's see how far we are. You know, I checked it 5 minutes ago. Let's see, you know, if we, you know, sometimes went by. Oh, I'm only 2 minutes farther. Like, Jesus Christ. It just felt like it went on forever. And not much happens in the film where, like, you'd think, like, okay, we're going to, like, they'd talk more about things that are going to happen than what actually happens. Like, okay, we're going to try to figure out this plan to stop everything. Oh, but first, I'm going to get revenge on this jock bully that put me into the bathroom and made me run 30 seconds from class. I'm going to get retaliation on him. And then, like, oh, no, I have to repent for what I've done because now he's dead or something, you know, like they're not dead, but I'm just saying, like, oh, I have to repent. There's like a lot of like grievances and stuff. So it's just like it's weird, just like the ebb and flow of the film. It's just like all over the place. And again, you have to remember, like, it's a high school class, so it has those like sort of issues that I had with like 8-Ball Clown, and just like where it's just even though it's not as bad as 8-Ball, I mean, this one had it flowed decently, but it's just like it was just bumpy and just not getting to the points where it needed to be. Like, oh, we need to do this. Oh, I need to get revenge on this bully. Oh, how dare you get revenge on the bully because he punched you? And like, oh my God, now the girlfriend of the bully is going to get back the girlfriend of the new kid, and just like there's just like a lot of things. And then like then the friends later on who just like decide to fucking punch the new kid, like, here you go, boom, like for what he did to the jock. But like, dude, the jock punched him in the face and he's bleeding, he has nosebleeds and like all this stuff, and just like it's all over the place with like where things should be leading and what this is important now and now that's not important. And then it was just it's kind of hard to describe fully because it's just one of those things where you just have to watch it to see it unfold. I mean, am I wrong, Ian, for thinking that, the way I'm trying to describe this?
No. It was pretty all over the place, and the pacing was... After the second act, I was trying not to fall asleep because it just dragged on so long. But
and it was just like, oh, now we're going to have this somber music of them going to this thing and that thing. And then, like, there was the whole thing, like, this would be a great time to do this thing at the dance. And then they didn't do anything. I don't know what they did at the dance because, like, that's a great time, to do what we're going to do. And then, like, there's a dance, and then, like, they forgot all that thing.
Well, I also wonder if some stuff had gotten cut out because the school deemed it inappropriate. If it was done by a high school class.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It was pretty violent in some places, too. So I don't know. Like when they were shoving the pencils through his hands and then, like, the creature comes up and breaks his neck. And, like, what the... This is not... like, you can have that, but then, like, you have weird things, too. And, like, it's just a weird vibe I got from this one. And, like, it wasn't... It's not a bad film, but you have to have all these little check marks and asterisks everywhere. Like, well, there's this, this pinpoint of the pros and cons because it's not technically a bad film per se. It's just a high school class making a monster movie, and the monster itself. I wouldn't know that. Yeah, and it. You take that into effect, I mean, yeah, it's going to not be good. I mean, it's not technically a good film, but it's better than necessary because it does have an interesting premise. The creature actually is not too bad. It's like sort of like Pumpkinhead if mixed with a gremlin, like an actual gremlin from Gremlins, and like just like because that's what it looked like, and then, like, again, the creature effect, because it was a practical monster, and it looked cool. And then, like, what it was doing was cool. And, like, again, like, the doors shutting and the alarm going off, I was like, okay, so this is like The Purge with a monster. That's what I thought the film was going to be like for the rest of the thing, but then it just turns into this weird coming-of-age, what to expect out of life thing towards the end. And, like, I understand that, and I can appreciate that for what they're trying to do, but... It does not. It felt like I was watching a faith-based movie without a message.
Yeah.
It's not Blood Freak, but it just felt like I was just like, what is this? I mean, it had that that vibe to it, like this children's movie vibe, but it was what it turned out to be. It's hard. Again, I wish I could describe it in more detail, but it's one of those weird ones that you can't really put into words.
Yeah, I mean, also, like, it's hard to talk about, too. I mean, other than just, like, ripping it apart, because there's not much happened. Like, I think a big chunk of that movie could have been cut completely out, and we would have not missed a lot of the plot point. And
well, one main plot point I had was like, okay, it only affects like the principal, and this is one of the main issue. Another main issue I had with the film was that it was the principal of the high school that did everything. He created the doors, the alarm, all that stuff, and retaliation for the high school kids on their phone not getting to class. 2 instances in the film, the creature is in the elementary school going after one of the sisters of the new kid's girlfriend's sister. And, like, why is the creature after elementary kids? It has nothing to do with anything. It's just a plot point that has no recurrence or relevance to anything other than the fact that it's the sister of the new kid's girlfriend, or Lewis's girlfriend, or whatever her name is. And, like, this whole thing about a gold coin, or weird, like, then they introduced that, and I don't know what the fuck the point with the gold coin was, because, like, he's about, because they're, later on in the film, they find the lair with the machine, and they're trying to turn it off, and then, like, again, the creature shows up, and then, like, the kid in the group with the glasses, he goes to the elementary school with the coin, and that stops the creature from attacking Lewis in the lair to go attack the kid with the coin. It didn't really, in the elementary school. And, like, why? Like, why is that thing? It didn't add up. Like, the whole thing with the sister, the girlfriend's sister, didn't add up anything. It's just like, oh my God, she's dead, she's gone, and it's just like a plot point for no reason other than we need this. It's just like, why was that there?
Yeah.
It served no purpose. I mean, I know you're trying to build this, world, I guess, this mythology of everything, but it just felt like that was just unnecessary to the central idea, and it just elongated the film more than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're wanting to have
Also,
this big moment of, like, oh my God, my sister's gone, like,
yeah.
I get that, but it just, like, it served no reason.
No, it didn't. There's a lot of inconsistencies that I've found myself questioning. Like, because maybe because I kind of started checking out by the time I got to the end of the movie because I was just bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
Because it just felt repetitious the whole time. Like, the same thing just felt like it was happening over and over again. But, like, so the parents are glued to the TV. What controls the teachers? Is it just the school? Also, like,
I was wondering, like, how did anything ever get done if, like, they're glued to the TV? Like, do they even work? Are they just brainwashed? Or are they, like, Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something? What's going on there?
And then how does but if they're glued to the TV and the teachers are, like, pretty much it doesn't seem like the teachers are stuck in the school. So, like, are they mind controlled? Like, and the TV just keeps. But then why was there an adult police officer that told the girl her sister got? So but it doesn't state that, like, people just disappear. So, like, without any explanation of where they go, but yet the elementary school gave an explanation for that they disappeared.
Yeah, it didn't. It served no purpose, man. It served no purpose. It was just there, like, we got this cop. We got the school cop. We can do a scene with him handing the gold coin to our lead chick. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just because, Ian, just because. We're back there.
I wonder if the class all got to write, like, certain points, like certain parts of the script. So everybody got a chance to show their ideas.
Yeah, and their talent.
To the and I feel like, honestly, if I think about it like that, the inconsistencies would make more sense.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to make sense of the senseless.
You had the one, like, I love my sister, and it'd be awful if something happened to her. And then you had, like, the jock and the girlfriend, and, like, the whole thing was that. And then, like, the kids wanted to hang out at the arcade with their friend who's doing a bad Garth impression. And all they want to do is eat pizza and play arcade games and hang out with their older, and like since he was like, again, he's Garth in a sense from Wayne's World, so he's just like the brain dead sort of slacker dude that just wants to hang out, like party on, and so like the kid's favorite movie is probably Wayne's World. Like that would have been a pretty let's do this,
Yeah, probably Wayne's World mixed with a little bit of Cheech and Chong.
Something like that.
Like, I mean, some things it really was, like, off the wall, half the things that came up.
Yeah, it's like coming of age, and then it's creature violence, bullying, like over the top almost for what this film's trying to be, and then it's like real world problems, and then it's like all this other. It's just, I guess it's like an amalgamation of algorithm for just life. Like you never know, like everything's good and hunky dory, and then all of a sudden you got yourself a little ball of death.
Also, movie logic, obviously, but you would think that if they're glued to if the parents are glued to the TV, maybe they just come home and are glued to the TV and like are brainwashed and just do their jobs. Because maybe the parents being glued to the TV is supposed to be an allegory for the teenagers that's going home being glued to the TV, while all the kids are the adults. Yeah. Or it just seems like the parents don't pay attention to them because they're watching the news. Yeah. Like, I mean, I drew that because, like, people are so glued to the television anymore. It's like, and they're like, eh. But then why is the then it kind of goes back to the principle, because like he's hating the kids, the teenagers on their phones, but then like the adults become the ones glued to their phones, their TVs. So it's kind of reverse, like that doesn't make any sense. And then like why are some of the like 12 feet apart, or 13 inches or whatever when they're at the dance? Like, why would the teachers care? They never cared, like, oh, better luck next time getting in the door. It should have been you, because like they're telling the kids they hope they die if they don't make the tardy. And then like later on, like, oh, 12 inches apart, you're dancing too close. Also, like, why would you care? You just wanted the kids to die earlier in the day. Right. But why wouldn't it have been easier to just brainwash the kids to being good than the entire town? Like, because it said that they were saying that, like, the reason why they're not affected is because the kids aren't as glued to the television anymore. They're glued to their cell phones and other things. So, like, why didn't any of them try to reach out for help online? Also, like, if you had to be glued to the TV to be brainwashed, then why, when the electric went out, why did the teachers come back? And why were the teachers not possessed? Like, by not being in front of the TV, like, how are they still possessed about that? Is it because they were close? I don't see. That's probably because they're in close proximity of the machine. I don't know. Yeah, but if they left, I don't know. It doesn't. The plot and continuity and reasoning is just. It's a high school class. They're coming up with ideas. It does not work out sometimes the way you want it, and how you do it in your head is another thing. But when you're doing it, on paper is one thing. In reality, and just getting it, it's going to be two different things. And that's how I see this. Like, they have all these ideas, and you have this big idea of this monster movie, and all these small sci-fi elements with like the machine and the body snatchers and all these metaphors you want to put in there. You have that, and then you go to film it, and you realize, oh shit, we're only in high school. We don't have we have no acting capabilities yet, even though they do well. And
our budget is just what's in our pocket. You know, it's a high school class.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like when you're making those freaking, you know, high school like spirit videos. I don't know how many other places did that, but like you just had somebody with a camera and just like you wanted to shoot these like, you know, spirit videos in high school and like to oppose the opposition of like this big, I forgot what it was like. Anyway, it was like Spirit Day or something, but like it was like football or something. Like the team's coming up, we got to get in the spirit. We got to do all this stuff. At least in my high school, did that. And like they made like these little like 5 to 10 minute short like little movies or clips or something, and just like a bunch of people coming together and doing all this stuff. And I know we were fighting. It was this football team. I forgot what it was, the Cougars or something like that. And like big elaborate idea where like the jocks were attacking like the people dressed up as cougars, and like it was interesting, you know, just like all these ideas, and like there's like car crashes and stuff like that. So it's like you can have all these ideas and like you put them to good use, and like you got to remember like, oh, I'm just fucking 16, 17 years old. You know, it's like we're not in Hollywood or anything like that. We're some high school in Texas, you know. And so it's just like, you know, it's that weird thing like reality and then like imagination or something like that, or whatever that is, that meme, you know, is when it has like two things. It's like what you think it is and what it actually turns out to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, I digress. You know, me and my weird stuff that I go off on tangents. But the film, like, if you can get past a lot of the issues and the pacing's going to be where it kills most people, because like the idea and the premise and like there's certain aspects that really would have worked, and I wish it was just like The Purge with a monster in a high school. That would have been like pretty damn cool, you know. Like you gotta get the class, and like every time, you know, like it gets like the days get but the timer gets shorter, so you have to get slower and slower to, you know, faster and faster to class. You know, but then, yeah, that's me and my imagination, and like they don't even really use the monster that much to where it needed to be there. But it's a cool creature. I did like the way it looked. It looked all interesting, and again, like I said, it's like a cross. You know, if you look at the face, it's basically Pumpkinhead, but like gremlin ears. Yeah. Yeah, sure. And again, it's a high school class that made that. A fucking high school class made a fucking better looking monster than fucking Louisa Warren and a freaking leprechaun in a fucking overcoat.
I'm sorry. I wanted to hinge on that too, but like I was, it's like at least they kept the same voice for them.
Yeah.
But you know, no, it's.
Again, get past. If you can get past the pacing, that's the main, and the horrible music choices, because you're going to have to deal with some
and don't think
in
too
the
hard
arms
about
of the
it.
angel shit going on. You're going to have to listen to some Christian rock, like, oh Lord, I believe. You have to do all that shit. I don't know. I don't have nothing against that. I mean, rock your Christian rock, but it's just like that music choice was not a suitable choice for that finale. It was like, oh my God, just end me now. Because like I can deal with some shit, but when it's terrible, soft Christian rock, or tries to be, like I'm done. That's it.
Well, I bet they were just like, hey, we need music for this movie. Anybody that's going to let us? Because I doubt they have money to buy rights. I'm
sure like one of the teachers had like a Christian rock band. Like this would be good. I know one of my teachers was in a Christian rock band.
Well, I think the best thing to do, like, because I was sitting there thinking about it, and then I started thinking about one thing, and then I started thinking about all the others, and that's my problem. I started thinking. You can't. You gotta turn that brain off.
Yeah, you have to.
Just because.
Yeah.
It happened because, and that's all you need to know.
Yeah. No reason to attack the elementary school, to attack the sister. There's no reason for it, but it's there just because, you know. You know, there's some gold coin there.
Yeah.
Why? I have no idea. Just because. I love it.
Yeah.
Why can't he find the freaking door to the secret apartment? There's a rug over it. Just because. I mean, it's 2 inches off the ground. You would trip over it, but it's there. No one's going to pay attention. All this comically spider webs in the principal's office. They don't clean it, apparently. Apparently, once he disappeared, they just locked the door. They don't have a new principal.
Right. This shit doesn't make sense. But it's, God. But, and did he turn into the monster? Is he the monster? Is he wearing a costume?
Yeah.
But I think one of the most ridiculous scenes in that movie was when he was attacking that one kid and he, made it look like he was putting his hand through the kid's leg. Mm-hmm. You could obviously see that it was to the side of the leg.
He's not even really murdering them, even though he's murdering them. But he brings them down to the fucking basement to have them stare into the machine. What is this creature? He's going around he's breaking necks and putting his hand. He killed Garth in the fucking film. You don't hear from Garth ever again because he kills him. But then at the end, all the other kids are getting attacked and dismembered, through the leg. Oh, the kids are fine. We got to kill Garth.
You can't insinuate that you're murdering children in a high school movie. But that's the thing, if he's capturing these kids and making them, brainwashing them and, keeping them, hidden.
That's
a
smell, too, man. Unless they're in, a canatotic state. That one Carter, he was down there for how many years, dude? I mean, he has to have a pile in his pants.
And is he changing them? Is he wiping them? Is he, feeding them? Is he, exercising their legs so that their legs don't collapse? What is
Indian
going
style,
on?
this flowing thing.
Okay, so you want kids to be on time, but you're going to brainwash everybody but the children except for when they're tardy. And that's when you get them.
And we might kill them or something. I don't know.
Well, the murdering is implied.
Yeah.
Only for children.
Again, Ian, we gotta say it. Just because. You have to go there. That's the thing. Just because. It doesn't matter. Just because.
The longer we talk about it, the less and less this movie makes sense.
Yeah,
and
that's
it
the
didn't
thing,
already
man. Sometimes it had the idea, but again, we have to look at it. It's a high school class.
Several ideas.
Yeah, there were some
I
good
honestly
ideas
think
there. There's hope there. If someone else would come along and put some more money behind it and a little bit of tightening up the what script there is, there's a great idea. There's a fun idea.
The brainwashing of the parents.
Yeah.
And that's a great idea. And the not being tardy in the monster. I wish, it makes me think about that X-Files episode where there's the trash monster, in the cul-de-sac that, if you break the HOA rules, the monster will come and kill you. But it should have been like that, where it's not just the school, but the whole neighborhood. You're supposed to be home at a certain time. If you're caught out, the monster gets you. They should have went further with it. But I get it. It's a high school, it's a high school movie. They're limited to their locations. I get that, but just thinking, like, this is just ballparking. Like, I think this movie would work on a larger scale, and make the stakes a little higher. Like you said, like, you know, every so often the time goes down, like a minute.
That's what I thought it was going to be. But it was going to be a purge with a monster, and like every time, like you got to get to class, and everything. You know, each day it gets worse. You know, like you know, as the years, you know, or whatever it is, until like there's, I don't know. It's just a general idea of what it could have become, and you know, like you can still have all the coming of age shit in there for good measure.
Oh
you know, because there's just like a lot of stuff there. It was just like we got to have this because we got to like show the, like, we still got to have like school spirit, you know, we still got to show that like we still got to have this little thing in there, you know, because it's school. You know, it's just like, it just
also
seems like they had like this spreadsheet of like things they got to put in there for good measure, or else they won't get a passing grade. Like, you need this, you need that, you need this. You need to know the bandwidth of this. You need to know the this and that. You know, like, you know, there's like all these PowerPoint, not PowerPoint, but you know, bulletins, pinpoints that they like needed to shove in there. Like, all right, we need a family plot. We need a school plot. We need a this plot. And like, okay, it just felt weird.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to cut in there.
Oh no, you're fine. Like. Oh, man. There's just so much to talk about in so little time. We got 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, everything was there. I think it just needed to be tuned up a little bit.
Yeah, it was just too long and just not entertaining once it got started. Like, all the entertaining stuff was up front, and then, like, they just went down all these ideas. Oh, the school dance is here. Let's do this. You know, like, do we really need to be hanging out at the arcade 15 times within the first 6 minutes of the movie? You know, I'm just saying, like, all these times, and nothing happens. Like, oh, how am I supposed to believe you? Oh, I go home, my mom's watching TV with her dead eyes. Like, okay, I believe you now. And, like, I have to forgive you. And then, like, the whole, like, new kid girlfriend thing, like, you just met. You haven't even got, I don't know. And then I don't know. There's just like a lot of things in there. Just like I can see what it was gonna be, and I understand the problems definitely. I can see it. But it could, man. They needed to utilize the monster a little bit more, make it like more of a threat, and because like. It's awesome, like him, the monster itself, like him going around chasing the people, and they were hiding. I mean, yeah, you kind of go down the like the cliche route of the monster chasing people, but it was an interesting setting, you know, like you're tardy, you know, the monster's gonna, you know, I'm like, and then I don't know what it did afterwards, but nonetheless, like it had a cool premise. That
like, why didn't they run away? Why did they keep going to class? And
then like the whole thing with like the sister, the girlfriend's sister, like she's seeing the sister, but it's actually the creature. So I like that aspect too. There's like all these weird little aspects in there. Like it's awesome, and it's just like they kind of flubbed it because like we're in high school.
Yeah, man, I used to make little movies when I was in high school, and they were awful.
Well, there you go. But nonetheless, that's going to be it for Horror High, a.k.a. Tardy Terror. Still, I don't know. I hate Horror High as a title. It's freaking dumb. They needed to come up with something else. But I guess you couldn't say Tardy Terror releasing it because the world's too PC and you can't have tard on something. Nonetheless, like, oh my God! If you imagine that Tardy Terror and it's just a bunch of special class coming after you. Oh no, here they come. Good night, everyone. I'm going crazy.
Good night.